We have Ben Robertson.
Hi folks, Ben Robertson. So I want to just discuss the last question to John a little bit about fentanyl in Boundary County. Not that it makes it any better, but through the probation side I asked that question, that exact question, the probation side, and the most prevalent serious drug was meth still in Boundary County. You know, the most common problem that probation has is still marijuana, but meth more so than fentanyl. Not that that's any better, but if that helps you with your answer, that's through the probation side. So I'm here just to give a quick update on county, and I hope we have some good questions afterwards. So a lot of you probably heard that we purchased the Safeway building downtown. I know most of you probably already know that. Give you an idea where we're at with that, and the idea, not necessarily a plan, but the idea for it is to move as much of the courthouse into that building to be ADA compliant, to be heated more efficiently, cooled more efficiently, and step away from our current courthouse as much as we can. The reason we have to move over there, we don't have to. It'll be darn sight cheaper to remodel a level building than it would be to remodel that courthouse for multiple different reasons. It's built inefficiently. It worked fine in the 40s when it was built. But in today's world with staircases, 3 flights of stairs to get to the courtroom, and it's a historical building, so we're not allowed to put an elevator in the building because that changes everything. So our next best option is to buy a square building in downtown with a parking lot. The bones are good and it's full of freezers. So we don't have any plans drawn yet.
Guys?
What's that?
Is that where we can put the bad guys?
We might need coolers at some point for something like that if we do the firing squad. So we don't have plans drawn. We're meeting with one engineer this week to kind of start going forward with an idea, but no plans. Don't know how the footprint's going to look just yet. Some of you also know that the extension office that was behind the courthouse, that's traditionally the extension office, they moved up on top of the hill here, where we are currently moving all the assessors into there. That project, that remodel project is just about complete. So the second floor assessor's office, the mapper that's downstairs, and the small brick building out back, all the assessors will be in one location in the old extension office out back. I'm hoping that project is wrapped up within the month. We're looking at carpet this week. So should be getting close, paint's on the walls, or most of the walls. It's all primed. This coming Thursday, actually, we have a meeting with Planning and Zoning Commission. We need to decide the direction our community, our county is going to take with planning and zoning issues. So there's been pushes back and forth, whether it be from the public or commissioners, you know, which direction we're going to go. Does a zoning violation constitute a misdemeanor? Or is it a civil action? Should there be any action at all? You know, where do we want to have subdivisions? Where do we want to preserve timber and agriculture? You know, these are the issues that face Boundary County. Those are the things that are going to matter to us for the next 50 years. Because once there's a house there, or something's subdivided into 3/4 acre lots, or they're restricted to 10 acres, that's there for an awful long time. So anyways, this Thursday, we're having a meeting with Planning and Zoning Commission to try to narrow down which direction we want to go as a county.
Is that open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Oh, goody.
At what time?
I believe it's at 6 o'clock. It's on the commissioner's agenda.
So same time as the debate?
The farm.
No, not this Thursday, next Thursday.
Oh,
We're
okay.
a week away. I get lost in the weeks. They just run together for me.
Okay.
Those are, you know, really the most important issues in our county. Everybody wants to go back to, and I know when we get into questions, it's going to go into junkyards, things like that. That doesn't affect truly the future of Boundary County. It's where are you going to allow people to have setbacks? What shape of property do we allow people to have their property split into? Do we want spaghetti strings coming down the county road? Or do we want to do easements and have good usable land use in Boundary County? Or does any of it matter at all? Should we care? Should we care what you do with your land? Is it your land after all? So we have to be careful where we step, because every step could be an invasion of your private property rights. I tend to strongly lean towards private property rights, but it's easy to get off course there. You know, I think that's about the most exciting news the county has. A couple of remodel projects, working on a budget coming up for this next year. We're at the very beginning stages of it. John's right. Our county employees are paid far under market value in Boundary County. We are training grounds, whether it be the sheriff department, road and bridge, landfill, across the board. We don't pay a living wage anymore for what Boundary County costs to live. But you cannot fix that in 1 year. You know, we are limited to a budget increase of 3% a year. Last year, we did 3%. I'm not gonna lie to you, we did. We increased it 3%. All of it went back to the employees. We'll very likely need to, not want to, need to do the same thing this year to try to raise the wages so we don't continuously lose our employees. Because for one, you need to have your landfill operated correctly. You need to have road and bridge run. We need to have experienced operators that know how to run a grader, that know how to drive the snowplows. And by golly, we need law enforcement that knows what they're doing. But it's gonna take several years to get there. As far as jail, you know, John mentioned the jail. Sure, it's a big issue. I have some other funding ideas moving forward. I'm not gonna tip my hand, but the few people sitting in this room that are running for office, I'll be looking at you guys for some different ideas. You'll hear about that shortly when I put it all together. Haven't quite figured out how to do it yet. But otherwise, the only funding source for us to build a jail is a bond to you, the taxpayers, the property taxpayers of Boundary County. I know nobody wants their taxes to go up, including myself. So maybe there's a better way. Maybe. Sure like to answer any questions you have.
As you know, I'm very concerned about the absentee ballot box.
Yep.
Who's spearheaded that and how can we get it out of there?
Okay, as you know, I'm not the elections clerk. So my understanding of how this ballot box works, it has a camera on it. I believe that's on the website, streamed to YouTube. So it's constantly has a camera on it. Anybody can watch it. If it's not up on the website, it's up shortly. I saw the camera on it yesterday. Also, that ballot box does lock and is bolted into concrete. In my current understanding, like I said, I'm not the elections clerk, that will be closed, locked every night, and opened by a deputy clerk or the clerk every night. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Why did they feel like it was important to have it?
ADA compliance. So we cannot get into our courthouse legally, disabilities requirements. So to do it out there with the guidance of actually disabled people, they came in and spoke on how they would like it to be set up. That was the rationale behind it. And I supported the idea to give somebody access to it. There was already a box inside the building that did not have a camera on it.
Which I was, yeah, didn't like that either.
Sure. Absentee ballots, that's beyond the county discussion. That's a state level discussion for these folks. But as far as the county goes, that seemed the most reasonable solution that a couple people in this room had input on, as far as cameras, not necessarily the location of it, but it seemed like the best way to fit everybody's needs. And still be able to lock it, still under lock and key. It's a double locking system, bolted into concrete with a camera on it 24/7. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Over here, Liz.
Ben,
Yes.
because that box is there, specifically for handicaps or
Yes, okay.
mostly for handicap?
Sure.
How do the handicapped people get into the courthouse now?
They can ring the bell outside the back door, or there's a ramp in the back door that does not meet compliance. There's no way of doing it.
Okay,
Some chairs, some people can go up and down that ramp,
right.
but it does not meet actual legal requirements. There's no way to do it. There's not enough room there to do it. I'll tell you a story that really started making me think about the disability stuff. I got a call, I was in the commissioner's office, I was up there doing some of my own paperwork. Got a call, somebody wanted to meet me outside, it was pouring down rain. I walked out the back door of the courthouse and there's a man sitting there in his wheelchair because he couldn't get in the dang door. And I'll be darned if I was gonna complain about standing in the rain talking to this guy that took the time to come down and talk to me, but he can't get in the building. It's not right. Yeah.
Have you got some sort of a cogent assessment of what it's gonna cost to renovate the Safeway building? And have you considered hiring a project manager who's competent with local, state, and federal code requirements?
Sure.
Because I can
Yes.
tell you horror stories.
Oh, I can as well. So how it's gonna have to work, we're likely to have to go out to bid to have an engineer, architect to do it. So within the requirements for those bids, they are your project manager. They're the one that oversees it. And then with their plans, then you go out to your general contractor. I do not like the statutory requirements that the county is under for any projects, and there's been a little bit of headway made on that with, what was the bill number, do you remember?
I don't, but we
Yeah.
upped your, the amount before you have to get.
Yeah, so Public Works
license.
license requirements currently, that $50,000 per project. 2 people in Boundary County are allowed to bid on it. The rest of the bidders are from Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area. So we have to pay far more money than what we could do ourselves. We did get that raised to $100,000 this year. It's a drop in the bucket. For you 3, if you guys are in office this next year, I'm gonna come back to you guys saying it needs to be $250,000 plus index for inflation.
Yeah.
That's what really needs to happen. Did I answer your question? I kind of went off on a different tangent.
Kind of.
Okay.
Just, I was involved in the renovation of the Bonner County Courthouse. And
Okay, I remember part of your question. Did we have an assessment done? So we did. We did have a couple of qualified contractors come in and look at the building with us when we were allowed to go in there. It was under the ownership of Safeway. Access to the building was difficult. But we did have some people go in there and they thought, all said and done, purchase price to completion, $2 million.
so one of the things we discovered.
I'm sure that's not correct.
Well after the fact was the hiring of a project manager probably would have saved 20 to 25% of the final cost. But we were renovating the courthouse,
Sure.
which was built in 1914 or 19, I don't remember. So just a thought, just something.
Well, I think that you guys kind of went down a stray trying to remodel your courthouse. That's exactly why I don't want to. Because it is a very old building and every time you take a piece off the wall, you find something else wrong.
Yeah, well, bear in mind that when I got into office, it had already been decided.
Sure.
So we were stuck
I
with
say
it.
you guys, it
Yeah.
was a board decision you were
Yeah.
stuck with just the same as I've been
Yeah.
stuck with some as well.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah,
question?
yeah, about that ballot box camera. Is
Yep.
it stream only or does it record? Do you know? So if
I don't have an
goes
answer
out
for
on
that.
election day because there's a problem, someone turned it off or whatever, is that video gonna be gone forever?
I don't know the answer to that.
Accidents happen, you know.
They do.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks.
I don't have the answer. Well, I'd like to know. It's good. It's a
Nice to
good
know,
question.
like, you know, just a second.
Yeah. So I believe it's on YouTube, so anybody could record it from there for sure.
Right, you know, it's not being recorded locally and then
Like screen recording.
accidentally turned off the internet somehow on election day.
I'm not gonna pretend I understand how to do any of that, but I do know people that do know. And that's what's more important.
That's good.
Anybody else have any
Any other
questions?
questions? Okay,
Thanks for your time.
thank you, Ben.